It is another day, and over the weekend, my wife and I installed the flooring. Last night, I assembled the door frame in the floor and glued it all together, which I glued the top corners here. You can see this piece, the trim and the side piece were both already assembled with the seal installed. The top was separate and this piece was separate. I installed the hinges, or I guess that would be the male portion of the hinge. And I glued the joints here. They have biscuit joints that help line it up. They have little clips in the corners, these little turnbuckle type clips for the trim that pull the joint nice and tight. I've used construction adhesive in there. I used just normal wood glue on the biscuits and assembled that in the floor and got it all nice and square. And so what I did, so that I could measure it while it was in the frame, if you can see here, just these little tiny marks. I measured down, I think that's at 1600 millimeters. I did that on both sides, and then measure an X from this top to that mark down here, and from this corner down to there, and that gives me my square so that I know the door frame is perfectly square in the frame. I trimmed the bottoms of the doors to make them fit nice and perfect. This one was just a square cut, but this one had just a tiny little angle on it. So I put a little angle on that so that it fits the floor nice and flush. Made sure the upper portion was level. You can see that I have this thing clamped in here multiple ways. The frame gets glued in basically. So I have behind this face trim, I have construction adhesive all the way around. So what I've done is I've cut this spacer piece here so that I know exactly how wide my door is supposed to be. And then I've clamped it on the trim so that it pulls the door frame together. Now the two bottom ones go through and they are holding this side of the trim. So I built this little jig here. This is an L shape, the top and the face here. So the face is actually touching the face of the door piece here. And then this piece acts as a width measurement. So that's got that all. I know that this is the right width. And so I pulled that all together. Then up here, I have a clamp that is pulling the door frame as far as I can this way so that it fits the wall nice and flush in here. And then this is on top of the door so that it'll let this part come out as far as it needs to come so that the door is sealed on the edges here. The door is flush to this wall. This wall is pretty dadgum close to level. Now, it's not perfect. You can see that I still need to do some final caulking here, but you can see that it gets nice and tight in some areas. And the same thing on this side. I've got a little work to do on the wall. Now that I've got the door in, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup here where the finish material wasn't perfect, but I didn't know how far it was gonna come over. And so I didn't wanna do a whole bunch of work that wasn't necessary. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now that this is glued, I can remove all of these clamps and I can test the door just to make sure that it's going to sit in there nice and clean. I don't have any fear that it won't fit, but I'm going to double check it now before I put the foam spray in. So I will be using this 2-part foam spray. So this actually has a hardener built into it. You take the bottom and you turn it and it mixes the 2 parts together, and then you have to spray it or it gets hard inside the bottle. I've already got some construction adhesive here that would give me so that I can't move this way once everything is done. I have a spacer here. I know that this board is perfectly straight because I have used my straight edge here. I have a large straight edge here and a level. I'm going to now spray foam all the way up, over, and around. And so now Now that that construction adhesive is dry, I'm gonna unclamp everything and check the door for fit. All right, yesterday I got the door frame glued in and basically using spray foam. You can see here that we've got it completely filled here. We did that all the way around. You have to install these supports to keep the walls from closing in on each other because the foam will expand and basically push everything away from the wall. I got the one vertical to support the center section from pushing down and multiple horizontal parts, and I have a clamp in its spread function right at where the door latch would go to make sure that that didn't move at all. And then just some wooden supports that I had cut to length. The bottom one showed earlier. And then I just basically cut some old pressed wood parts to fit inside. Now when I put these in here, they didn't actually fit. The width was, the boards were bowed, so I actually had to put some wedges in to push the boards together and give me my actual length. And these supports were actually loose. And now you can see like they're in there pretty tight. So it did push out on them. Like this one, I even took the clamp off and you can see it doesn't want to come out. So it did actually put some pressure on them. If those had not been in there, then the doors, this could have closed in and created problems with the trim or even with the door fitment. Now I'm going to remove all of these clamps and fit the door up. All right, well, I have mounted the door and installed the new hardware here. Everything is working like it should. The door will stay where you put it. Doesn't matter at what angle. So that lets you know that it is level and plumb. Closes nicely. So also yesterday, I painted and cut all of the trim, the base trim. It is not secured to the wall yet. I'm going to do that now. So I have all the pieces cut and fit all the way around the room, and so that is done. And today I'm also going to paint the trim that goes around the top. I doubt I will install that today, but I will at least get it painted and ready to put on. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to get these things to install them. I'm going to put just a couple of screws in the low spots and bring it as tight to the wall as I can without deforming the board, and then attaching using construction adhesive behind the trim and in the joints. So that should make everything nice and tight. But with the walls, none of these walls are perfect because it is a stone house. You would spend so much time and energy and money trying to make the walls perfectly flat and plumb and smooth that it's just not worth it. So these are the things that I'm having to deal with. So it takes a little bit longer to do that. It doesn't look quite as nice as, you know, something that's perfect and square and plumb and flat. I'll be putting these in now and also painting the other trim. All right, so we are pretty much complete with this room. We've installed the ceiling fan. We have installed all of the trim around the baseboards, all the trim around the ceiling. Now the trim is just basically 1x material. I think the base here is right at 1 inch and the upper part is more like 5/8 of an inch, not quite 3/4. The floors are done. The only thing that I have left is to actually hook up the heater, which we don't even have the main pipes to hook that up yet, but that will come very soon. And I still need to do the finish coat on the sides here, which is not a big deal, shouldn't take long, but I'm not gonna do that until I mix up more material. Probably when I'm doing the washroom or the entryway, that's when I'll do this. This is pretty much complete. We've already moved some furniture in here just to get it out of the way in the other room so we can start working there. Pretty happy with how everything looks. It feels so good to have it to have it useful now. So the door is installed, it works and closes really good. I was worried that that might not be so great, but it is very easy to close. It does not swing. It stays exactly where you put it. And that's how a door should be installed. When it's open to a certain point, it should just stay there. And there's no friction on the hinges. So it's perfect. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I'm really happy with the match. The door is just a little bit darker than the flooring, but you know, it just depends on the part of the flooring. You see some of them are darker, some of them are lighter. So, but other than that, everything looks good. So we're moving on to the washroom. Probably the entryway will get some more work done. But this one, I'm gonna call this room done, and feeling good. It's really kind of coming together. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment down below what you think, and tune back in for some more progress.